Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. As federal social distancing guidelines expire tonight at midnight, some states are loosening restrictions while others are keeping them in place. CBS News correspondent Michael George begins our coverage tonight.
Protesters, some of them armed, marched on Michigan's state capitol, demanding Governor Gretchen Whitmer lift extended stay-at-home orders.
She just issued an order that says I can't go out to a drive-in movie inside my own vehicle with 20-foot space between their vehicles.
California Governor Gavin Newsom ordered Orange County beaches temporarily closed after crowds flocked to them last weekend.
Specific issues on some of those beaches have raised alarm bells. People that are congregating there that weren't practicing physical distancing.
By Friday, at least 35 states will have loosened their lockdowns, some allowing retailers with limits on customers, movie theaters, and restaurants to open with capacity restrictions. This Little Rock, Arkansas restaurant owner thinks it's still too soon.
Doing curbside was one thing, but having people come to the patio or the dining room, sit down and eat, and then us cleaning up after them, that's a really different set of circumstances.
Governor Cuomo ordered New York City subways to be shut down for 4 hours overnight for daily cleaning, starting next week. The transit system has lost dozens of workers to the coronavirus. And tragedy mixed with renewal. Raymond Sangster's mother died from COVID-19 just days before he was admitted to New York's Mount Sinai Hospital. But after several days on a ventilator, the 56-year-old coronavirus survivor went home to his wife and 2 children.
All right, love you too.
Michael George, CBS News, New York.
New Jersey reported 460 deaths today, its highest daily total in more than any other state in the nation. Here in Montana, confirmed coronavirus cases have slowed, but we did add 2 more today to bring our total to 453. The latest positive results include the first case in Fergus County and the 8th case in Park County. But Fergus County officials say the man in his 40s has actually been out of state for an extended period of time, acquired the disease out of state, and has not returned to Montana, or did not return. As of tonight, the state reports 61 people with active coronavirus, and just 5 are in the hospital. Meanwhile, Wyoming saw 11 more cases today, bringing the state's total to 415 confirmed cases. Wyoming also has a total of 144 probable cases. There have been 7 deaths there so far in the state. Well, April saw an uptick in coronavirus cases here in Yellowstone County, but Health Officer John Felton says progress is being made to slow the spread of COVID-19. Now, we talked to him today about that and what he thinks lies ahead as we move into a new month and more businesses begin to reopen.
The cost of failure to follow these guidelines is catastrophic.
Those are the things that make me concerned.
No one has been more front and center in the COVID-19 battle here in Yellowstone County than County Health Officer John Felton.
We've learned a lot about how to limit the spread of the virus.
And Felton says the social distancing that most of us have now become accustomed to has worked. Yellowstone County began April with 30 cases of the coronavirus and added another 50 cases in the course of the month. 2 people died.
I think Billings and Yellowstone County have done remarkably well. There's certainly a few people who think it's too much and have objected, and that is, we're still Americans, we still get the right to disagree.
Businesses which had been closed began opening this week. Restaurants, bars, and casinos followed this coming Monday.
We won't know the effects of the first phase of reopening for 2 to 3 weeks when we start seeing, when cases start to come out. So it takes some time just because of the incubation period for the disease, but there's no timeline on it. And I know people really want a timeline, but pandemics just don't work that way. They kind of go at their own pace.
As for what might be ahead as we turn the calendar to May, Felton had this to say.
I think at the end of May, we'll still have a lot of cases. We'll be still working on contact tracing. We'll still be gradually moving back towards what we used to think of as normal. The new normal will be here. I think we won't be doing a lot of large group things at that point. It's really important for people to realize that this is a stepwise approach back to a new normal. The more we do a great big step, the more difficult it's going to be to move on.
Well, Felton says most people do seem to be doing their part and that it shows with the relatively low number of cases and hospitalizations so far. But again, He is expecting more cases as more of Montana reopens. Despite Governor Steve Bullock lifting the state's stay-at-home orders last week, the Crow and Northern Cheyenne tribes have both extended stay-at-home orders on their south central Montana reservations. The Northern Cheyenne order has been extended to May 8th, while the Crow order will continue another 2 weeks until May 14th. The Crow order was set to expire tonight. Another 10,000 Montanans have been added to the list of people filing for unemployment. Today's U.S. Department of Labor report shows unemployment claims in Montana are over 96,000 for the week ending April 26th. Across the U.S., that total has reached more than 30 million now in just the past 6 weeks. According to the U.S. Tax Foundation, Montana has an unemployment rate of 13.9%. That's the highest in the region. North Dakota is at 11.4%. Wyoming is at 7.1%. Now, these numbers are in stark contrast to February, when the region's unemployment rate was around 3.5%. Next week's U.S. job report is expected to show the unemployment rate at 14%. That would be the highest monthly rate since estimates during the Great Depression. Billings police are asking for your help tonight to identify a vehicle possibly involved in a Sunday night homicide in South Billings. Take a close look here at this video. A small light-colored single cab truck is a vehicle of interest in that shooting. The crime played out in the front yard of a home in the 100 block of South 31st Street just before 10 p.m. The victim, 50-year-old Micah Myron, was shot in the front yard and died soon afterwards at the hospital. Police say there were 2 people in that truck, and there was also a medium to large size light-colored dog in the bed of the truck. If you've got any information on this crime, you're asked to call BPD detectives. That number 657-8473 or Crime Stoppers at 245-6660. And Billings police also tell us that detectives are still tracking leads in the Monday night shooting death of 24-year-old Brett Ness. Ness was found shot in the head in the driveway of on Florine Lane, and that was near Central Park. Well, Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire joining us now. There were a few thunderstorms, but they mostly missed our area. How's the radar looking now?
Well, things are starting to die down a little bit, but we got another cell I got to show you. Let me show it to you right now. Doppler radar showing the big storms moving through, but they're really not all that big right now. A lot of the big stuff has come and gone, but let's zoom in over here. Coming down out of Red Lodge off the Beartooth Mountains, we got a pretty good big cell here. You can see it here coming off the 3D Doppler radar. This one is going to start making its way into the Billings area, I think, before too long. And as you notice, we'll swing it around here. There it is. It doesn't have a lot of lightning in it, so it's just got a little bit of rain moving in, so that thing is still pushing its way towards the Billings area. It really isn't until the other side of the state. That's where we see all the thunderstorms moving into the high heat of the day, and that's causing some thunderstorms to develop there. They've got some lightning in those areas. So here's what's going to happen tonight. We see that one cell just to the southwest of Billings. That'll continue to push its way into our area, probably about 11 o'clock tonight, and then as it moves into our area, it kind of moves away, and then here's what you're looking at on Friday. Mostly sunny skies. On into Saturday, mostly sunny skies through much of the day, and then your next batch of moisture starts moving in probably sometime on Sunday. We'll have more about that coming your way in a few more minutes. Russ.
All right, thank you, Bob. A week from Friday, absentee ballots for Montana's primary election go out in the mail to all registered voters. And one of the top contests is the Republican primary for governor. It's a 3-man race, but the conventional wisdom is that Montana Congressman Greg Gianforte is the prohibitive favorite to win the nomination. MTN Chief Political Reporter Mike Dennison takes a closer look tonight.
Greg Gianforte's campaign for governor has released internal polls showing him with a huge lead over his GOP primary opponents, Attorney General Tim Fox and State Senator Al Olszewski. And Montana State University political scientist David Parker says Gianforte has a clear advantage, both in terms of name recognition and money to get out his message. But as you might guess, Gianforte's primary opponents have a different view. Fox notes that Gianforte just put another $500,000 of his own money into his campaign, increasing his personal stake to $1 million.
He obviously doesn't think he has it in the bag, or he wouldn't be spending $1 million of his own money. And
Fox and Olszewski also assert that Gianforte is not well liked by many voters, making each of them the better GOP candidate in the general election.
But when you look at the independent polls, what's happening is over 1/3 of the Republicans that vote on a regular basis are still undecided. That means that they're not happy with Congressman Gianforte, and they're not happy with Attorney General Fox. And it's my job to let them know that I'm out there and I'm worthy of their vote.
the polling says that 65% of Montanans don't care for him. And certainly, we also know that the polling shows that I'm the Republican that can win in the general election.
Gianforte's campaign dismisses this line of criticism, pointing out that he's already won 2 statewide elections for Congress. And as for his personal investment in the campaign, Gianforte says it exemplifies his commitment to helping the state.
We're all in, and I'm at a part in my career where I feel highly motivated to give back, to provide opportunities to others. And I don't know how to say it, except we're all in for the future of Montana.
Gianforte also has raised an additional $1.8 million from donors and says his campaign is spending money not only on the primary, but also to better position himself for the general election campaign against the Democratic nominee. Speaking of those Democratic candidates for governor, they're already taking aim at Gianforte, assuming he'll be the Republican nominee. In a few weeks, we'll get the final word on that from the voters. At the Capitol, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
All right, thank you, Mike. On Saturday at 7 p.m., MTN will broadcast the only televised debate among the Republican nominees, and it features all 3 of them together. And we'll also be broadcasting a separate debate between the Democratic candidates, Lieutenant Governor Mike Cooney and Missoula consultant Whitney Williams. That starts an hour earlier at 6 p.m. on Saturday night. Well, still ahead on tonight's 10 o'clock news, doctors spend their days saving others, and now a new hotline is looking to save them on their toughest days. Plus, the Montana National Guard building a training hospital at Metro Park. We're going to show that to you. And in sports, one of the NBA's most popular owners recently snuck into a history class here in Montana. Scott will have Mark Cuban's most entertaining moments.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.